prosecution had already played the video in full, and then they played these videos he recorded on his phone.
Y'all aren't ready for what just went down in court. The second that hidden camera footage was shown, Diddy absolutely lost it. Sources say he tried to walk out as the video played, forcing the judge to step in and bring the courtroom back under control. It's the kind of damning proof Diddy likely never thought would surface, and now it's going viral in real time. In this breakdown, I'll explain exactly what was shown, how Diddy reacted, and why this could completely destroy his legal defense. The hidden footage, revealed by a former security guard, caused a major disruption in the Manhattan federal courthouse when Israel Flores, who once worked at the Intercontinental Hotel, testified about the shocking surveillance video capturing Diddy violently assaulting Cassie Ventura back in March 2016. The moment Flores mentioned this secret camera evidence, Diddy's entire demeanor shifted. Witnesses say he looked nervous, turned pale, and began trembling, repeatedly asking to go to the bathroom in what seemed like a weak attempt to escape, as in his worst fears unfolded right in front of him.
You could tell he was nervous, and he said it in the courtroom. He had asked to go to the bathroom. He was like, "Excuse me, Judge, I'm a little bit nervous."
The man was shook, like he'd just watched every one of his past sins replay in front of him. This wasn't the confident, flashy Diddy we used to see popping bottles in music videos. This was a man witnessing the collapse of his empire in crystal clear 4K. Flores, now working as an LAPD officer, gave a vivid account of the night he responded to a distress call from the 6th floor of the Intercontinental Hotel. His testimony revealed a disturbing sequence of events. What happened before, during, and after the assault, all captured on surveillance footage.
So they called a witness to the stand. This guy was one of the heads of security. So he was like second in command in security at the Intercontinental Hotel back in March of 2016.
So there was only two witnesses yesterday. The one you talked about earlier, which was the male escort, is the second. Okay.
Yeah, so actually the LAPD officer, security guard, was actually the first witness, but we talked about him out of order. But yes, only two. So this guy was working at the Intercontinental Hotel. He's a security guy who actually responded when Cassie got on the phone in the lobby outside of the elevators and called for help.
The hallway, yep.
The hallway.
According to Flores, when he got to the scene, he found Cassie clearly distressed, repeatedly saying, "I want to leave, I want to leave, I want to leave." Diddy, however, was allegedly refusing, saying, "No, she's not going anywhere." Flores testified that he had to step in and told Diddy that if Cassie wanted to leave, she had every right to do so. But here's where things got even more intense. Flores claimed that when he walked Cassie and Diddy back to the room so she could grab her things, he noticed a man in dark clothing sitting on the bed, a detail that would later become key in backing up Cassie's account of what happened.
So he says he walks them to the room, and when he gets to the room, he's able to see inside, and there's a man in dark clothing sitting on the bed, which is important, right? And I'm gonna tell y'all why. Because Cassie is alleging that the video that we saw was her trying to get away from one of those freak off situations that she did not want to be a part of. And because she didn't want to be a part of, everything we saw in that video was what happened.
This third person in the room became a key piece of evidence because it supports Cassie's claim that she was trying to escape from one of those forced freak off situations when Diddy assaulted her in the hallway, directly contradicting Diddy's version that it was just a jealous argument over something on his phone. What happened next was caught on the hotel surveillance cameras footage that CNN would later release in May 2024, showing Diddy grabbing, shoving, and kicking Cassie as she tried to get away. This hidden camera footage, which Diddy never knew existed until it surfaced years later, is possibly the most damaging evidence against him. Flores testified that after the assault, Diddy allegedly offered him money to stay silent about what he had seen, a claim that suggests Diddy's awareness of guilt and an attempt to cover up his actions. The security guard also said Diddy had a devilish stare when he came out of the elevator at one point, adding a sinister tone to his testimony. Now,
Diddy's team is saying...
so that's why the video matters to the court.
Diddy's team is saying, no, because freak-offs weren't a thing. You guys were consensually engaging in sexual acts, but that's not even what happened here.
Diddy's defense team, headed by attorney Brian Steele, forcefully cross-examined Flores, aiming to undermine his testimony by highlighting differences between his current statements and what he had documented in 2016. Steele asked why Flores didn't note Cassie's black eye or the presence of a third person in the room in his initial incident report.
So you mentioned something about Cassie having a purple eye when you got off of the elevator. Why wasn't that in your incident report? The man said, well, I didn't think that was significant to put in. Brian still said, so you thought it was significant today, but it wasn't significant 9 years ago? So then he says, you said that you saw a man inside of their hotel room. Why wasn't that in your incident report? Did you ask the man his name? Did you talk to him? And he was like, no, because the man didn't really say anything.
The defense also pointed out that Flores recorded videos on his personal phone and sent them to his wife, laughing about how shiny his shoes were, implying he was more excited about his encounter with a celebrity than worried about Cassie's well-being. Steele pushed the idea that Flores might have been protecting Diddy back in 2016, but has since had a change of heart, casting doubt on his credibility.
He's super excited, telling everybody about it, telling everybody what happened. But now, today, you only are saying that you remember certain things that go against Puff while you're on the stand, but you didn't say those things back then.
Because he was covering up for Puff back then, but maybe he got a conscience now, is all I'm simply saying.
Despite attempts to discredit Flores' testimony, the prosecution stressed a key point. No matter any inconsistencies in the security guard's memory, the surveillance footage speaks for itself. This hidden camera evidence, which Diddy never knew was recording, clearly shows him physically assaulting Cassie in the hotel hallway, chasing her, grabbing her by the neck, throwing her to the floor, and kicking her while she was down. The release of this footage was so damaging that it led Diddy to issue a rare public apology in May 2024, taking full responsibility for his actions. However, this apology came years after the incident, after years of denial, and only once the video became public, suggesting it was more about damage control than true remorse. The hotel surveillance footage is just one example of how hidden cameras have become Diddy's worst nightmare. As the trial goes on, prosecutors have hinted at more video evidence from other sources, including footage allegedly taken from surveillance systems in Diddy's own homes during the March 2024 raids. The possibility of more hidden camera evidence surfacing has reportedly left Diddy in a constant state of anxiety throughout the trial. The courtroom fell silent as the prosecution played the hotel footage, with several jurors visibly disturbed by the brutality shown. Diddy, meanwhile, kept his head down, unable to watch his own violent actions played back for all to see. This hidden camera footage, which he never knew existed until it was too late, may be the smoking gun that finally destroys his empire once and for all. Cassie's damning testimony came next. As if the hotel footage wasn't enough, the courtroom was stunned when Cassie Ventura took the stand and revealed the existence of even more hidden camera evidence. This time, footage allegedly recorded by Diddy himself in what she called the dark rooms of his various properties. Cassie, visibly pregnant but remarkably composed, testified that Diddy had installed elaborate recording systems in specific rooms where the infamous freak-offs would take place. According to her testimony, these were not spontaneous encounters, but meticulously planned and documented events that followed a strict protocol.
She says that, it was very well choreographed. Like, it was almost, when she was describing it, I was like, it sounds like he was shooting a music video.
Executive producing.
No, for real.
Executive producing is right. Cassie alleged that Diddy treated these encounters like professional productions with specific lighting, props, and staging, all captured on hidden cameras that the participants didn't always know about. She claimed Diddy would later watch these recordings for his own pleasure and sometimes use them as leverage to keep those involved under his control. This testimony matches what investigators reportedly found during the raids on Diddy's properties in March 2024, where they seized not only weapons and substances, but also extensive surveillance equipment and digital storage devices. The prosecution suggested these raids uncovered a large archive of compromising footage that Diddy had collected over the years. Cassie described how these recorded freak-offs followed a detailed 4-step process, with each phase carefully directed by Diddy.
So that first step was the descriptive foreplay, and then step 2 was the touching.
Step 1 involved verbal descriptions of everything happening, which, according to Cassie, served as narration for the recordings. Step 2 introduced the infamous baby oil, which she testified was applied heavily to enhance the visual effect in camera.
She said that they would oil up so much. That was like a big thing for Puff, allegedly. Like, you had to be oiled, that every 5 minutes they were like just re-oiling because
He wants you to look like a shiny suit.
Yeah, because it glistens, and I guess it's the sexiness of baby oil.
This excessive use of baby oil now makes more sense in the context of filming. The over 1,000 bottles found during the raids were apparently meant to ensure optimal visual quality in Diddy's private recordings. It's like he was running his own illicit production studio, complete with a props department. Steps 3 and 4 involved increasingly intimate activities with Diddy. Sometimes he watched, sometimes he participated, but allegedly always making sure the hidden cameras captured everything for his private collection. The most disturbing allegations came when Cassie described what happened after these recorded encounters. She claimed that Diddy made her take bodily fluids from male escorts and apply them to his chest and nipples. Acts, she says, were all caught on these hidden cameras. For his later viewing,
she said that a lot of times after they would finish, the escorts would have a happy ending, and Puff would make her take that happy ending and rub it on his nipples, and then they would engage in whatever they were going to do, just Cassie and Puff allegedly.
So his man milk on Puff's nipples?
That's what Cassie's alleging, that that Puff liked her to rub it on his chest and on his nipples.